Thanks for joining us on another episode of So What's Next? I'm your host, Jeremy Madore, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Kristen Smith, and we are joined by...
My name is Sherri Vance, and I am here with Live Action Escape, a family-run escape room in Worcester, soon to be Westborough.
Oh, fantastic. So you have another location coming up.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So escape rooms.
Yes.
Those have been around for a little while. How are they aging? I think is my biggest question. As someone who has enjoyed multiple escape rooms in the past, the repeatability is not there, right? How's
Correct.
that aging for you guys?
Well, I think that staying on top of the trends is one really important thing. But I think the other thing is people don't realize that escape room is not a competitive business because you need to keep people interested in it.
Yep.
And so by working together with other escape room owners and keeping people interested, once they play, because like you said, they're not coming back to play the same rooms.
Not generally.
So you have to keep them going to other people's businesses and other escape rooms so that when your new rooms come out, that they're going to come back.
Oh, so you guys are networking and actually recommending other.
Correct.
That's definitely a very different business dynamic. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not competitive. It can't be, because you only have, right now currently on Main Street in Worcester, we have 3 rooms that are open. Mm-hmm. We're opening a new room then this month. So when that new room opens, we want people to come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if people aren't interested in escape rooms, if you play 3 escape rooms and you never play another one, you're not going, oh, I wonder if this place has a new room, So you have to keep people going to the other escape rooms in the area and want to, when they go on vacation, look them up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that when they're around, let me see if they do have a new room. And when you're still booking rooms, you can have a room on the books for years, the same room that continues to book.
Sure.
So because even now, as long as they've been out in the U.S., there's still people that don't know what an escape room is.
Yeah, that's
so you have to try to.
Well, honestly, that's me. So if you could explain that to me, and I mean, I know sort of the concept, but to me, I'm like, you get locked in, and so if you can explain,
and I want to squash that.
Yes, if you want to explain that.
Please. I've done probably 6 or 7 at this point, and
really,
I absolutely love them. There is some caveats that I'll get into later.
Okay,
but trying to describe that to people who have not played it, their immediate reaction is, oh, that sounds claustrophobic.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
So explain that.
Okay. So an escape room is an immersive experience, and it doesn't mean that they're locking you in your room. Very few now, like when they first came out, it was more of, yes, the point was to get out of the room. More and more now, the themes are, you have to finish an objective.
Okay.
Like I've played a room that the objective was you were interviewing for a job, and the end result was you had to retrieve your employee badge.
Okay.
And that's how you win the game. Sure. So it's not escape room. That automatically go, I have to escape. Oh, they're gonna,
Yeah.
Is there a way to is there a way to rebrand that name?
I don't know, and I feel like it's just been that for
it's
so
like
long now.
Puzzle room.
There's some that will call them puzzle rooms,
and
I think that you're always gonna get somebody that's gonna go like, oh well, I'm not good at puzzles, So there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna say.
I like
something.
immersive. I like the term immersive.
So it's immersive room. The themes are all different. They don't lock you in.
Yeah.
Legally, they can't.
Right. I mean, if you think about it logistically, that makes sense.
So, and even if you're technically locked in, so even the ones that you have to escape, there's emergency release buttons.
Sure.
So you're not locked in. Nobody has control of you. I have a friend that's like, I'm not letting anybody control me. And it's like, that nobody has control of you. You can come and go as you please. And it's your gameplay that's going to suffer if you leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so an escape room is you go there, the escape room has a theme, and whatever they change, and you go into the room with your teammates. Sometimes you can go there and there'll be other, strangers can book all at the same time. There's some public bit. There's some. My husband and I have played over 200 rooms.
Oh, wow.
And I think maybe a handful of times we've gone, but we've made some of our best friends playing with strangers. Sure. So,
it's a bonding experience.
Yeah, because you're working together.
Yeah. And you have to work together. And that's the one thing that my husband and I love about it is you don't use your phone, it's not going to help you, especially in our rooms. Our rooms are completely designed by our team, by the family that owns the business, and it's all original stuff. So Google ain't going to help you, but you're not using your phone, you're communicating, you're working together for an hour to, solve puzzles, and whatever the objective is to do that. And
how long is the time span typically?
So it's usually 60 minutes. You'll come across some that
the
will
ones
be
you've done?
Like 45. I've done some that are 45 minutes, and then there are some that are 90 minutes.
Yeah, see, 45 minutes is too short.
It's too short. I agree.
I would love to do some 90-minute rooms because I feel like by the time I'm done a 60-minute room, which like my trend has been like I'm finishing in 45. Yeah. It's just because you get into a flow, right?
Yeah.
By the time I'm done that, I'm like, I want more. But like, you can't just be like, I'd like to do that room again, because you don't do that.
Right.
And then a lot of times, a lot of the escape room places that I've been to, everything is booked on the 10-minute mark, right? Like they might have 6 rooms and they book it every 10 minutes, right?
Right.
But so by the time you're done, you can't just be like, hey, can we bounce into that one? I'd love to be able to do that, but a lot of times they're like, well, no, we already had that booked.
You have somebody
else,
booked there.
So it's when you get the high of it, because there is a high. There's an adrenaline. There's a dopamine. Because like it's successive success.
Right.
Like literally in quick succession, you're doing win.
Right.
You get to the end, you're like, that was awesome.
Yes.
Can we do something else?
Yeah.
And then the answer is like, no, sorry.
No, sorry.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah. So that's why you have to plan that.
Yeah.
You have to book those all the
right.
rooms.
I mean, that would actually be it. Yeah.
That's so when my husband and I travel, now we've done almost everything like New England area. So we actually haven't been on an escape room vacation in a long time. But when we go, we book everything that they have. So if the place has 6 rooms, we're playing all 6 rooms that day.
Goodness.
And then it will stay in the area. And if there's other places that we can get, so that we can do 8 is the most that we've done in a day.
Okay.
But
that's a lot of thinking.
Yeah. Well, we have decided at the end of 8, like then your brain is just mush.
Sure.
That high ain't doing nothing for you. You're just like,
you're done. You're done.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that aspect,
Seriously.
right? There's only so much focus you can give. And the best part, I think, so I struggle with ADHD. And I think that people who enjoy escape rooms probably all have that kind of trait. Because the fascinating part of it is when something gets too challenging of a puzzle, because that happens frequently, you're okay to put it aside for a moment.
That's
right. You know what? Too difficult for my brain right now. Let me solve this over here. And in the meantime, your brain is like working on that puzzle without you actively doing so. And then you've done this one here, that dopamine hits, that re-engages, and you're like, oh, you go right back to it. It's like, that's the best part about the escape room experience, is that this completion of a puzzle, and usually a lot of them are like 15, 20, 25 puzzles in a row, it vaults you. It kind of like propels you into the next thing, and you derive that energy from what you've done already, versus this constant state of I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get this. It's like it's not a sense of defeat. No. It's win.
Right.
So. And
then the other thing is, one thing that we always tell people when we're going to play an escape room is you need to communicate. And if you're stuck, you have teammates. You don't have to do it yourself.
That was going to be my question. Like, how do you work together? Does somebody kind of become the leader? Like,
I think naturally somebody will always become the leader. That just happens naturally, because that's one, I'll say, one of the things that we do a lot of is team building. Yeah. Because it's a great way for a boss to sit there and watch
Who is the
people
leader,
to
yeah.
see, oh, that person's a natural leader, and
That's
you'll just see
interesting.
that. So
the psychological dynamics that go on in that room is just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. You just grab some popcorn.
Right.
Like, literally.
Oh, yeah. I would love, I'm not a game master. I'm in marketing.
Yeah.
So I don't get to sit there and watch people, but I would love to just sit there and watch games,
So who comes up with all the ideas?
So Mike, the owner, and his two daughters, Amanda and Sabrina. It starts usually with Mike, and then he bounces it between the girls, and nothing is decided between any, it's a very family. They're very all involved in all aspects of the business, but they come up with the ideas. They build all their own props. And they have an amazing team that does it.
That's an art right to itself.
It is an art.
Not
so
only
I don't
coming
know
up
if you've
with-
been to Live Action Escape.
I've not.
But you need to go because
Yeah, we should go do a video or something. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, their design is amazing, and they
team meeting.
Yeah.
No, how many people can your rooms accommodate?
So 8. The most is 8. Something in the Closet and Art Thief, I believe, are both 8. And then we have a little bit smaller of a room, Cold Case Revisited. I'm gonna say that's probably 6.
Okay. So generally, group sizes, I'm guessing, are like 4 to 6 people.
Yeah, and honestly, I like 4 to 6 people. If you get too many, it's too many.
It is.
Too many cooks.
Too many personalities.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I think that the best part about the small group is that you truly get a lot more of a bonding experience with the people that you're with. With the larger groups, it's just chaos.
It's chaos. And not only that, like, I know my husband's somebody that he wants to see how everything was solved. So when we have a smaller group for us, it makes it so that he can see.
Sure.
So then he's loving that experience because but at the end we'll usually go like, oh, how did you solve that thing? But 4 to 6, I think.
So you're kind of, okay, so I'm sorry, I don't really understand the whole thing. So like each person kind of has a job to do? Like, can you give me an example?
So the first thing when you go in an escape room is you need to search, right?
Okay.
So there usually will be something that's pretty obvious of where you need to start. So say maybe there's a notebook. Okay. And so you'll look in the notebook, and the notebook will say, maybe have a little story or something about like this piece of furniture or a radio or something. So then you'll go look at that radio because you're like, oh, well, maybe that's, and there'll be something there. Or you'll see that there's locks on cupboards and such like that. So there'll be clues to a puzzle. And sometimes they're pretty obvious, like, that you'll say, oh, I know what I'm going to do with this. And obviously the more you do. But it's not like you don't have to have any previous knowledge to play in an escape room.
Okay.
So you search and things become obvious of what you have to do with them.
Okay.
I think the best thing that anybody can do going into an escape room is completely have a blank slate, open mind.
Yes.
If you go in there with any predetermined thoughts, you're going to be fighting yourself.
Yes.
So going in there with a blank space is the best way to do it. And so it's not like one of those things like I have to prepare for an escape. No, you don't.
No.
It is completely and thoroughly an unprepared experience. What you need to be prepared for is throwing energy at problem solving.
Okay.
That's the blank slate.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal. That's I love this. This is fantastic.
I love
Jeremy's like, can I please sign up right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I think that we should have a team building experience at an escape room. And so you guys are located on Main Street in Worcester?
Yeah, 415 Main Street in Worcester.
All right. And you have 3 rooms there?
We have 3 rooms currently, and at the end of the month, the alien spaceship is going to open.
Okay. And these are all unique, original designs?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Because I know that there are some companies out there that kind of have some crossovers and stuff like
Yes.
that.
You will find nothing the same at Live Action Escape.
Wonderful.
Like I said, they build everything from the ground up.
See, there's an artistry in the building from the ground up thing, because like it's one thing to come up with the idea or the concept of the puzzle that needs to get solved, a whole other to actually put it into like physical, tangible action.
Right.
Right. Because like case in point, just for Kristen's benefit, one of the frequent ones that I've run into is that there are locks on boxes.
Yep.
And the locks they have either numerical codes, or they'll actually have word codes, right? And the idea is that you got to figure out what that lock is supposed to read, whether it be words or words or numbers. But you don't just come up with that. You come up with that with a series of clues that you uncover, but not intentionally so. You're like, what is the word skunk? What's that? I'm like, skunk.
Exactly.
And then you're like, find a lock that says skunk.
Yes.
And so you go around the room trying to figure out where that lock is.
Yeah.
And then you come up empty-handed. You're like, oh, that's not even a lock at all. And so it's like a red herring, right? And all of a sudden, like, you're taking that word and it reappears later on, and you're like, yes. And so there's just like this constant.
I don't think I've ever seen Jeremy so excited in a podcast before.
I love
this is like his jam.
I love that.
And so it tickles your brain in the best possible way. Or if you come up with, if I can see it probably frustrating some people who hate that dynamic.
Yes.
Right. And so I think there's probably that dividing line of individuals who are like really opposed to the idea, because it is a pressurized challenge.
Yes.
It's pressurized because it's usually a clock on the wall with a timer.
Right.
Or they might feel like they are, beholden to the system that they entered into. Right. Like, so there is that pressure element.
Right.
I thrive on pressure.
Me too.
And so it really comes down to, are you an individual who rises to the occasion, or who gets like really quiet when things get stressful?
But the thing that I like about the escape room is you can have all those people in the escape room and it's okay.
Correct.
Because if you're somebody that's kind of just like laying back and just like watching it, that's okay. And then those people still, every once in a while, they come out and go, oh, I know what that is. I saw this over there, and that's going to, so, and it gives a chance for everybody to have that aha moment.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. The quiet ones are looking around and really searching for the clues.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of vicarious living through other people that happens in an escape room, because, like, for example, clearly I'm the guy who comes in and like, I can do this. And it shouldn't be no surprise, but I actively make sure that I do not take control of situations. When I see someone already working on a puzzle, I let them, right? That's such a horrible statement. I choose not to be involved until they ask for it. And if they never ask for
I get that.
good for them kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think one of my favorite memories in escape rooms is like, so my wife, her name is Jen. She's not really a high pressure performer or a take charge individual. She's more of a laid back, like the person I described, right? But the thing about it is I'll be working on a puzzle, and like she'll just be kind of quietly observing or whatever, and something else will catch her eye, and she'll mosey on over to it, and she'll start fiddling with it. And on her own time, boom, she solves it. And like, I didn't even know it existed,
Right.
My husband's the same.
It's like the sleeper, right? Like it's like a sleeper cell kind of thing where you're like, oh, I didn't know that they were there.
Yeah.
Or I knew that they were there, but that they weren't getting involved or whatever. And there's a certain sense of satisfaction and pride that, as a husband, I look at that and I'm like, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Because not only are they there with you from a a romantic relationship kind of standpoint, but they're also actively participating in their own way, and they are their own person, which you're now having a shared experience together, and the bond is increased.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will say, like, playing over 200 rooms with my husband, our relationship has grown exponentially with things that we've learned in an escape room. And then to watch, like you were saying, the pride. To watch my husband grow in an escape room has been amazing. Because
so nice.
My husband's an engineer.
And
so he has a very engineer brain of everything straightforward, everything straightforward. Yeah. So to watch him grow to be like, oh, I can see that picture is going to open. And the first time that we went in a room and I went, that wall's going to open. And he's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, because I can see that there's gears over there. Sure. And he never saw it. Never saw it, And we've been in escape rooms where this particular one, there was somebody in the room with us just as the game master was in the room with us.
Okay.
And he was thinking, and when you're playing with just 2 people, and when you're playing in general, you need to think out loud.
Yeah.
Because your team needs to know what you're talking about and what you're doing.
100%.
So there's a lot of talking that's going on.
Yeah.
So we're in this room, and my husband is talking about this particular puzzle, and I already knew how to solve the puzzle. I hadn't solved it because he was thinking it through, and he was talking out, and he was not correct in the information, but the fact that he was actually digging into it and working it out, I was so proud. And the lady was like, that's not correct. I was like, stop, just leave him, because he actually had started working through things, because when we first went in, he would just be like, I don't know. So
yes, kind of like watching your kids grow up. Like it's like you let them thrive. Right. You let them go.
Yeah.
Why was the game master in the room?
I compare those to a low budget film escape room. So they didn't have cameras and stuff like that. They just put somebody in the room. Whereas typically when you go to an escape room, there's cameras so that they can watch you, they can hear you, they can see what you're doing. And that's how they help you.
Yeah.
Because if you get stuck and you need, sometimes you need a little help, to move forward, or you're on the complete wrong path. And that's part of the development of the game, is knowing like where people should be. We want people to get out of the room.
That was my next question.
This isn't a big, I gotcha.
Yeah. You probably marketing wise don't want that. Like people don't want that. They don't want to not win, but you don't want them to win every time, or?
Does it matter for us if you win or not? It doesn't matter.
No.
Does it matter to us that you have a good time while you're in our rooms? Yes. Yeah. Because like we talked about, we want you to come play all of our rooms. And when we have a new room, we want you to come back and play that room. And we want you to play all our friends' rooms and all that.
Yep.
So,
I love that part of it.
So if you're coming to the room and we're not helping you, and you leave frustrated because you only made it through half of the room, and that's not the frustrating part.
Yeah.
The frustrating part is if we make a room that's impossible for you to work through, and then we don't help you, what are you going to do? You're not coming back.
Right.
And then you're going to tell your friends, those escape rooms are ridiculous. Like they charge us to go in there. They didn't help us. Okay. And what's that do for us? Nothing.
Yeah. So it's challenging, but not impossible. Like that's kind of like the line.
And that's part of when they're developing rooms. Like they do a lot of research and development in, what makes it playable, what makes it fun, what makes it challenging, and to make sure that it's definitely playable, definitely solvable. You can't make it solvable for everybody. As many rooms as we've gone into, we still go in rooms and don't make it out. Mm-hmm. It's just, you can't make it for everybody, right? Yeah. But you make it, and the beta testing is a big part of it, is after the room is complete, the puzzles are all ready, everything's put together. Now we bring in teams, we just get people to come in
just to try
a beta test, right? Yeah. Because the very first one is like, you play it straight through. We need to see how long it's going to take, and then we need to make adjustments, because it looks good on paper, but when it's actually playing those 15 puzzles or whatever it is, does it take people an hour and a half? Okay, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we need to, do we need to take some out? Do we need to, change things? So that's a huge part before we open it to the public is the beta testing. That's very important.
And I'm sure that a large part of the speed element is whether or not the hints are too clear or not clear enough. Right. Because sometimes like the hints will get you there, but it takes you a while to get you there. Right. And that's a good thing.
Right.
If you're looking for a more complicated room or a harder room.
Yeah.
Right?
Are they rated?
Yes.
They rate them, but it's one of those things it's like I just said, you can't rate, you can, it's like you can say, okay, like we hold a record at Live Action Escape for Cold Case Revisited.
We being?
Myself and my husband, Brandon and Jess, know Brandon.
Yeah.
We made it out in 18 minutes and I think 36 seconds of this room.
And this is a 60-minute room?
And it's like, a 60-minute room. No. Okay. So we hold that record. Yep. But between us, we've played 600 rooms.
Sure.
So.
Oh my God.
Like.
Yeah, combined knowledge. Yeah.
You can't, and we were just all firing that day. Yeah. Like we just knocked it out of the park that day. We could probably go in there now and not do it the same way, Yep.
That was kind of my other question is like, if you didn't solve one, do you go back?
You can.
Do you personally?
My husband and I we always make friends with the owners.
Sure. Yeah.
That's why I work for an escape room now, because we instantly became friends with the owners. And so if we have made it through less than 50%, then we'll say, don't tell us the rest, we're going to come back.
Nice. Okay.
And we've actually had to there's been some people that are like, we don't like people to come back because they just don't want, but we were always like, listen, we're fine. We're not going to give you a bad review saying,
we've done 200.
So we have done a handful, but I mean, we haven't not made it out of, we make it out of
your
most
record's
of them,
pretty high.
But you can. If you're like my husband, I could take him back to every room and it would be like the first time that he's been there. Okay. Me, I have a pretty good brain, so I can usually remember one room we went to and we went back because we had only made it through halfway. I was like, okay, you start where we left off and I'm going to go open all the locks because I remembered all the combinations.
Oh my God.
So I was able to just go through and open everything while he continued the game, from where we left off.
Yeah, you go in there with a game plan when you're doing that again, obviously.
Right.
At that point, the goal isn't to repeat everything. It's about to pick up where you left off.
Right, to experience the whole room. And obviously when there's two people, most rooms are not made for two people.
No.
Doesn't mean that they're not playable. I know somebody that plays by herself because her husband doesn't like to play. And before she didn't have people that like to play with her and their schedules and everything. So she went and she would play by herself, and that you really need to talk to because the game master needs to know, you have to definitely talk outside when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
The game master needs to know where you are, what you're doing.
Yeah, and be okay with not feeling crazy when you're talking to yourself.
When you're talking to yourself. I know. I think I would get in my own head and forget that I needed to talk out loud. I would get so busy just trying to do things. But
so let's talk a little bit about some things that I've thought about when I've done escape rooms. Accessibility. What about people who are deaf or colorblind? How does that work? Because a lot of times there's color-coded items.
There's
audio signals. There's some things in there where there definitely is a challenge for people who may not have those senses available.
That's a great question, and I really don't know how they deal with that. I would guess that it's going to have to be somebody with you is just going to have to,
I'd like to see if there's a possible way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously, there's not much you can do about blind, right?
Right.
So if you're visually impaired, that's definitely going to be a much larger challenge, right?
Right.
But a sensory room,
right?
This type of experience, may
be
just passing that over to you.
Absolutely, for sure.
Something to chew on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think from an untapped audience standpoint, that might be something that the Worcester Business Journal would write about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just
throwing
out there, give you a bone
for sure.
So it's,
Wow.
But no, it's a wonderful enterprise.
It's so good.
And
I didn't realize that was such a big thing.
So it's a niche thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's people who have given it a fair shake. I think that they are much more likely to do it more often.
Yes.
I think people who avoid it because of the idea or the preconceptions, right? The incorrect, by and large, preconceptions are what keeps it from being more popular than it already is.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's like Dungeons and Dragons, right? So we actually have a small D&D team here, and we actually just played last night, in this room. And the thing about it is, prior to playing D&D with some of our workers, I didn't have any experience doing it at all. And I also had this preconception that, that's not something that I'm interested in, right? Or I had a label for it, right? And back in college, Warhammer was a huge thing. It probably still is, I don't know. Magic the Gathering, all those card games and stuff like that. And I always kind of avoided them because I'm like, nah, that's not for me, that's not.
Yeah.
And then I played D&D and I'm like, holy crap, I've been missing out. I've really been missing out. And so it's just one of those things where you make yourself available to that experience. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, that's when you should be determining whether or not this is something that you want to do.
That's right.
Not this whole aversion to it. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why I think we need to do more little pop-ups, short escape room type situations. I know for a while, Live Action Escape had a camper that was like a 15-minute game. So that gives you a little taste of what an escape room is.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go, okay, I like that. And then like go to a
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe sometimes the time would like, you know, but everybody should just go and give it a shot.
I'm going to try it. I'm
you
interested.
should. Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. I've already made it.
Okay. All right, we're doing this.
So the question is,
so we'll be in touch.
This is not going to be a forced thing. So people who do not want to participate are not going to be compelled to. But I think that if we approach this from let's all just give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
And if you want to just be with the group and not be involved, that's totally your call.
Too.
That's fine. Nobody's going to pre-pressure it into doing anything.
Right.
The hardest part, though, and knowing this about my team, is that how to divvy them up. Right? Because the thing about it is that we do have some pretty intrinsic leadership positions here, just simply because they've been carved out over the years as natural hierarchical approaches, right?
Yeah.
But then we have our field employees who are by and large on the same parallel with each other. I don't necessarily have a hierarchy or a leadership, strategy in there. So I know that the 7-8 field workers would pretty much like divvy themselves up automatically.
Yeah.
But then you have the office dynamic versus the field dynamic, and like, well, maybe we do like the office versus the field.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to make it too competitive and like too slanted, because I know that our office staff is, and I'm not to speak ill of our road staff, but I don't know them dynamically as much as I do the office staff. And I know that our office staff would just go out of the park,
See, that's why you need to split them up.
Exactly.
And you do half and half that way.
Yeah, or you just pick out of a hat.
Yeah.
Like, you just
throw
them all together, random.
Yeah, that would be
I
good way.
think everyone on our team has that creative like drive, and like they want to do good. You know what I mean? Like they want to work together. We have a really good teamwork.
Which that's nice.
Yeah.
That's any advice that we ever give anybody in an escape room is teamwork. You have to work together. You have to communicate.
Yeah.
Anything, and the rest will fall into place.
Right.
The rest falls into place.
All of your information is available.
It's available on liveactionescape.com.
Okay. All right. And the location you said Marlborough?
No, Westborough.
I always mix up
the boroughs.
I get it.
So Westborough, the location is going to be where? Is that
267 Turnpike Road, right next to Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay. So you can do dinner and a game.
So one exciting thing about this location that we have not had is a parking lot.
Okay.
Oh, very cool.
Because being on Main Street now, and we've overcome some things, because in August of 2023, we're just getting out of the pandemic, getting things back up and rolling.
Yeah.
And the place we were flooded. Oh. And we lost everything.
In Worcester?
Oh, that's awful.
All right.
And so now we're on Main Street and we're finally building it back. And things are coming back up, and we're getting ready to do a grand reopening in Worcester. And the alien spaceship is opening down there.
Very cool.
So,
and you don't have a parking lot for that?
There's not a parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's street parking, and then there's a parking garage that's not far, just like the next block.
I have to admit, I'm very naive about Worcester in regards to like where stuff is.
Yeah.
I know everything immediately off the highway pretty much. But when it comes down to downtown Worcester.
Well, I can just tell you this is City Hall. Mm-hmm. We're right next to City Hall.
I know where that is.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. And how long has this escape room been in business?
Since 2016. We're actually celebrating our 9 years in February.
Fantastic. Yeah. Wonderful. And then prior to this, you were located elsewhere? Is that what?
Just on Exchange Street, just around the corner from,
And so you've been at this location on Main Street for how long? Since
I want to say like a year.
Oh, okay.
A little bit more.
Okay.
Now.
So recently.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And from a space standpoint, do you guys have scalability in there? Because obviously the number one challenge for escape rooms is how many rooms can you occupy?
So we're on our fourth, and I don't believe that there's room in this one to put more because we put the splatter lanes in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know what splatter lanes.
We looked that up this morning. We checked that out. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And then the new location is going to have 3 escape rooms.
Okay.
So we have 4 here and then 3 at the new one.
From a turnover standpoint within escape rooms, is there a specific intended duration? Because like the thing about it is obviously like the replayability, right? That is going to affect your return audience. But if things are humming along just fine and it continues to get booked by brand new people each time, is there even an incentive to turn over that room? No, that's what I thought.
No, we had a room years ago, the study that was there probably longer than what people would expect it to be because it was a very beginner style room that was, one single room and you would go like, this is kind of like basic, but it was a very good room. It always booked. It continued to book out. So why are we changing it? People are still coming. People are still booking it. Mm-hmm. So until there's a downward trend where people aren't coming, then because there's so much work and stuff that goes into planning because we're not just buying it off of somebody, No. So there's no incentive to change it over if you're still booking it out.
Right. Okay. Fair. And so that's where the networking with other escape room owners comes into handy.
To just keep people interested so that when the new rooms do come, that then they come.
And sorry.
No.
What do you do for marketing? Is it mostly word of mouth or is it like, socials or
all
social
those,
media? Yeah.
We're trying to build the social media up and
yeah.
So I'm new to this position. They've never had somebody outside of the family that does anything marketing wise or anything like that. So this is very new. Yep. I've never done anything like this. Like I said, I'm just passionate about escape rooms.
Sure.
And, Mike said to me, you're the perfect person for this job because I don't have to train you in the excitement of escape rooms, the knowledge of escape rooms, because like for this particular thing, I called him and went like, we have this opportunity to be on a podcast. And he's like, I can't make it. And I go, I can go.
Yep. Yeah.
This is why you have me. And he said, perfect. You know?
That's awesome.
And if it was somebody else, he would have had to sit down with them and be like, okay.
Sure, educate them on it and everything.
Where I already know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important, right? Because you're carrying the torch.
Right.
And you might not know the ins and outs of some elements of the business, and that's okay. Right. Kristen doesn't know the ins and outs of some of the stuff that I deal with. Mm-hmm. But that's not the point.
Right.
The point is that when I'm not around, she's championing it.
That's right.
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 And that's the whole idea. Yeah. So like the two of you are in very similar positions for your different companies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think that the key takeaway there is having employees, having workers who are there because they want to be
That's
there
right.
and have the idea as to why it exists.
That's right.
Like if you plug into that and the values are similar in regards to, the person believes in the product and the product believes in the person, et cetera.
Right.
It's a win.
That's right.
Right. Like it's an escape room positive, right?
Because you want to sell it. Like you want people there.
I want more places to open. I want new games to play myself.
Selfishly.
And I want this. I love this family. I love the business. I love what they do. I want them to succeed, and I want people to go see them. And, they put their heart and soul into these rooms day in and day out, of keeping, the themes going and and keeping the customers happy that I want.
Are you aware, and this might not be up your alley, are you aware of any pinch points that you said Mike and the team experienced in regards to like what is their number one thing that they have to fight against in order to continue growing?
The economy.
The economy?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And that's just a disposable income question?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure. Because, you figure when you're paying $28, $30 for an hour, that's tough to say.
Agreed.
I'm going to go do that, So you're definitely against that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's groceries or an escape room, I mean, that's
a choice. That's like number one. And then maybe the second thing would be people don't know what it is, and everybody has people have a bad thought. Oh, you're going to lock me in a room? No, thank you.
Yeah.
So I would say those two things are like the biggest things that.
I think.
Surpass.
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I think marketing wise, I think that's probably what you want to concentrate on the most is those non-realities that people, are thinking about and worried about,
right.
Squashing those, like you said.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not locking you in.
I'm going to throw you another tidbit. Have the collective escape room owners or managers or however you want to phrase it, thought about integrating so that there is like maybe an escape room pass that allows for a once a month kind of thing on a every month billable. Because like the thing about it is, if you survey your audience and you realize that people are on average only going once every 2 or 3 months, maybe that once a month pass is just slightly below what it would be for a one-off price for 2 people, right? I'm talking primarily couples, right? Because this is a great relationship building.
Absolutely.
Or wrecking.
I think every first date should be in an escape room.
There you go.
Honestly, right?
Because you can tell right away now, does this person work well under pressure? Are we going to be able to deal with each other?
Right. Do I come out of there?
You're getting your best and your worst in an escape room.
Potentially, and I think it's difficult to mask the person that you are when you're kind of up against the clock.
Absolutely.
Right. And so your real self really starts showing itself through the good and the bad. Right. So if you are innately a more controlling individual, boy, does that one come out.
Yes.
But then if you're a wallflower and you just don't like getting involved, and the person who you're dating or whatever the relationship status is, doesn't desire that, that comes out too. And so for the good or the bad. So what I was going to say about the economy versus overcoming what people's preconceived notions are. One of them is not easily, but it's possible to be worked around.
Absolutely.
Right? So you can do the education element, and that's where the social media and the information feeding comes into play. What are you doing for that regard? Because obviously, like we can sit here and bash whatever policies are in place for the economy, but that's not going to help.
That's not going to help anything, right?
What can help something is what ideas can we come up with to overcome objections?
To overcome it, right?
So,
and I think that one thing that we're going to start up getting to is just blogging about escape rooms in general, just talking about what it is, what you do when you're in there, what our expectation of you when you come into our escape room is, so that people have more knowledge, because I think that that's what we need, is people to have more knowledge of what it is, what I have to do when I get there, and what the outcome is. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it a little bit more. So I think that just educating people, putting it out there, and, and then going to all the networking events and talking to all the people and saying, this is what we are, this is where we are, come see us. And
So what kind of networking events would you fall under for that? Like entertainment?
Entertainment, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Without a doubt.
Yep.
There's also the option, and I'm just feeding you stuff here at this point.
I love it. I'm gonna go back and be like, look at all these ideas.
That's fine. This is why
and he's gonna watch the podcast and be like,
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I thrive when other business owners succeed.
Me too.
Okay. I'm not in it to win it.
No.
Right. I feel like the win truly
is all of us together.
Correct. It's a collective win. Right.
Yes.
And not from like a communist kind of standpoint, but more along the lines of like, I really admire capitalism when capitalism plays nice.
Yes.
Right.
Agree.
And I think that there's a lot available for us to exchange with each other, and just not just you and I, but me and anybody else. Right.
Yeah.
Where we can thrive off of each other's ideas. So another idea that I was thinking of is, when you go out to an escape room, you're also getting dinner.
Yes.
Right. So like dinner and a date kind of thing. Have you?
That's one thing that we're working on right now, especially moving into Westborough, because Westborough has a lot of restaurants in the area, of collaborating with them to do a date night situation.
And it could either be like a combo deal kind of thing, or it could be a discount card. If you purchase a ticket here, just show it and you get 10% off or whatever of your bill or whatever it might be.
Right.
But that would at least help funnel business to preferred partners.
Right.
And maybe you have like a list of restaurants that people can go to, or a second thing that they can do on their date experience. Right. It doesn't have to be just a restaurant. It could just be like either a hotel, or it could be a movie, or it could be a shopping thing or whatever. Right. Because, this is not just we go out to eat, we do an escape room, and we go home. It could be more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You referenced having an 8-hour day, or eight rooms
in a day.
Oof.
Yeah. It was amazing. But, and then one of the other things, and now you were talking about, you go to the escape room and you're like ready to do another escape room or something. That's where these flatter lanes will be nice to just, it's not an escape room, but it's, you get to create a masterpiece for yourself. And so it's a lane that there's the canvas at the end, and they give you objects that you can put in paint and throw at the canvas, and then you can paint or whatever if you can paint. So it would be like if you went there, then maybe there's a lane open, so at least you can extend your night of having another activity, or maybe you can do that for a half hour and another room will open or something. So see,
I didn't think about that. That's good.
See, so now, because if you're there and they go, well, we have another one opening in an hour, you're like, well, I'm not going to sit around for an hour, but we have another one opening in an hour. We have a splatter lane open that you can go splatter lane for half an hour, and then the escape room will be ready.
Yeah, that's a good alternative. Wow, this is good.
So we're turning more to entertainment center than just escape room, because we want people to, we have a nice selfie wall for some enjoyable, fun little activities.
I think that is one thing in the experiences that I've had, that the places that I've been to could do a lot better, is that their selfie wall is, look, this is what we do, right? We have the lights, we have the cameras, we have the backdrops, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It is actually minimal investment in the grand scheme.
Absolutely.
When people are more encouraged because the lighting quality is better, the camera quality is better, there's a lot of alternatives there to like really beef up the quality of the images that they're able to take for themselves.
Right.
Which that they're going on social media afterwards.
Right, and which we want. We want you to put that out.
And maybe there's an advantage to tag you guys, right? Like, maybe you get 5% off your next order when you tag us or whatever. I don't know, like some little, some little treat there, right? And some incentive. So I think that there's some opportunity for a quality increase with the selfie wall, or even maybe like the game master is responsible for taking a better photo or whatever. Yeah. Right. There's very minimal effort expended in getting a much better product. Right. Like, especially if you're talking about like all the work that goes into the props. Right. They're not necessarily expensive in their actual dollar cost for materials, so much as it's expensive in the time invested of inventing it and coming up with the concept and redrafting and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, one of the things is you're not taking photos in our rooms, right? Because you don't want anybody to know. The thing about the escape room is you'll see very minimal pictures of escape rooms because you don't want people to know what they're going into.
You don't want them to be able to study it.
Yeah.
Because research. You want it to be a surprise and brand new to you. Yeah. And, a lot of pictures could give away things, you know, so once in a while they'll take, you can find a couple pictures of the rooms, but they're strategically done so that it's not giving anything away to people, you know.
Yeah. See, the discovery is in fact the adventure.
Absolutely.
And what you don't know is exactly what you thrive off.
That's right.
Like it's
yeah.
It's one of those things. And there is a very large element of trust put into pre-booking.
Yep.
Because at that point you're hoping and you're trusting that the business that is in question knows enough to provide a high enough quality experience, which is where Google reviews comes into play, or whatever reviews. Are there review sites that you guys try to hone in on? How are you getting reviews? How are you trying to build that audience?
Google. Yelp. Yeah.
Yelp is still a thing?
A thing.
I used to be on Yelp.
People like me.
No, it's not so much an age group thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't find that it's used all that often.
As a business owner, I had horrible experiences with Yelp early on because there was a lot of scams going on at the time, and they weren't really good. Actually, they were horrible at removing bad reviews that had absolutely no basis. Yeah. Obviously, Google has a similar challenge and stuff, but at least with Google, you can at least click on the name and see if they've left other reviews. And is this person just a negative individual? Is it clearly a bot, or is this a one-off kind of thing that they haven't left other reviews? In my mind, when I'm seeing those kinds of trends, I'm like, I'm going to ignore what this person had to say, because if they had nothing good to say about anything else, I'm not going to listen to them about this either.
No.
Yeah.
I want to listen to people or admire or adhere to people's feedback that has basis because they've been invested and involved in other feedbacks.
Right. I mean, me, because I'm an enthusiast, there's Facebook pages for that. So I don't believe any reviews that I read on Google or anything like that. Because, sorry, I've played enough rooms that I know I'm going to listen to the people that know what escape rooms are.
Sure.
For myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're listening
So
to
that's
the proper
how
audience.
I am looking for rooms.
Yep.
I go on the Facebook page and go, all right, I'm going to this area. Where's the best place to go, you know?
Okay. Is there one Facebook group for that you really hone
Well,
in
like
on?
New England enthusiasts is obviously for New England, but escape room enthusiasts on Facebook is a very good page that I like to be able to look for if I'm going outside of New England.
Okay.
For, you know, everybody will give you their opinions, and
Yep.
they're always putting, you know, this place was good, you know.
Yep.
So
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. What's your favorite escape room that you've been to? You knew that question was
It
coming.
was coming.
Other than the business that you're working for.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Okay.
Because every escape room is different, and I love escape rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That being said,
Thank you for the disclaimer.
that being said, I will say this. There is a room in Leominster at the Gate Escape that you will not see. I have never seen anything in 200 rooms that is like that.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the observatory at the Gate Escape.
Okay.
Do that. And one of my probably top 5 rooms that we've ever played is Over the Falls in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
And you were locked in the bottom of a ship,
Oh,
and you had to make it out before you went over the falls.
fantastic.
Oh, that's a cool concept.
And it was like you were in the bottom of a ship.
Really? Okay. So they really designed it that well.
Amazing. The
Yeah.
owner of
Immersive.
that business had done haunted houses for 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
So when escape
yeah.
rooms came out, and
He's like, I got this.
Yes. And he
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a really good crossover. Because the thing about haunted houses, it's very similar to escape
Right.
rooms, not so much in the horror aspect, right? It's more along the lines of the believability, the
Right.
immersiveness, or
Right.
the immersion rather.
Yeah.
And the quality of the paint, the decor, the props, the thought that goes into it, it lends to the suspended disbelief,
Right.
Right, and that's what makes a good movie too.
Yes.
Like how invested can you get in the plot because of how accurate it could be.
Yeah.
Right. And so same thing with it. That's good. I'm gonna have to give that one a shot.
Definitely Escape Buffalo is
Okay.
the name of that one.
When was
Go
that?
there.
When were you there?
Oh, probably 8 years ago.
Okay, but do you know if it's still kicking?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't,
Right.
to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And they had
Buffalo's a
other
big
rooms.
tourist.
They opened for us on their day off. So
Okay.
that was even like,
Wow.
they will do that
right.
if you ask them.
Question in regards to rentals. Do you ever book a day with a vendor maybe where they sponsor the rooms and allow their customers and vendors to come in? Like, for example, like if I were to say have a client appreciation day and I were to say, hey, I'd like to book these 2 or 3 rooms and people are going to sign up for time slots or whatever, and for free they can go through type of thing for free on us, right? But we pay for it. Is that something that you guys do?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the idea. I am definitely going to
Because
say
I
yes.
think from a corporate standpoint,
Right.
like you got the team building aspect. That's
Absolutely.
great. That's good
Yeah.
for your team.
Right.
But what about your clients?
Yeah.
Like from a client appreciation standpoint, what are we
Right.
doing? Like, how many times can you? Sorry, but I'm going to say this. How many times can you go to like the 110 Grill,
Right.
and be like, "Hey,
Right.
I'm going to host a dinner," type
For
of thing,
sure.
and all you really get is some drinks and hors d'oeuvres or
Right.
whatever,
Right.
and sure you get to network and mingle and whatever, but truth be told, that activity can be. It's so overdone.
Yeah.
Right. Who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
Speaking from a real estate experience, every brokerage puts this kind of thing on with the whole, with the whole going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or like apple picking in the fall. Or,
yeah.
like there's
it's
things
really
that
like,
are.
it's not so much that it's overdone necessarily. It's not like one of those things like I don't want them doing those things anymore.
Yeah.
It's just to shake it,
To see
shake it up a
something
bit.
different.
Yeah.
Well, I would say to that, we have an event space as well. So it would work like they could like maybe cater something in,
okay.
and then,
Is your event space attached to the Main Street location? Yeah. And how many can it hold?
I think like 30 or something.
Okay, so it's a
good space.
It's a mid-sized room.
We have a decent size. Yeah.
All right. And you have any catering contacts in the area that you're working
Not
with?
that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. It looks like we're creating a to-do list for you here.
I know.
You're like, could I please get my phone and I need to write
love
some
it.
stuff down?
No, I have a good brain.
Sherri,
Clearly.
have you attended our, I'm just going to put a plug for us here. Have you attended our social media meetup?
I have not.
Okay. So on February 4th, we are having our second. Our first one was just a
January
week ago.
7th.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And right here in this room, we bring in up to currently 15 people.
yeah.
15 is our limit. And we're almost fully booked at this point for the February date. But we invite business owners, marketing professionals, solopreneurs, whatever, to come in and discuss social media techniques, tactics. And we help people understand it better. And sometimes people are like, oh, I know this stuff. And they come in, and the idea isn't so much that you'll always learn something new, but that's the hope, obviously. Mm-hmm. The idea is that together we are helping each other get better.
Right.
And so I want to extend an invite to you
Thank you.
as
I'll
well as to
definitely
our
give you.
audience. And if obviously this is going to publish after February 4th, but we will be having one every month. And the goal is every
first Tuesday of every month
is
10
the
to
goal.
11. Yeah.
And the idea is that it's going to always remain free. So nobody has to pay to play. And the idea is that you come, you share your ideas. We help lift each other up a little bit from an energy standpoint and from an education standpoint, and overcome some of the hurdles and barriers that we encounter.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's been really well received. And like Jeremy said, we just want to educate people. We just want, we all in it. I mean, this is my job, but a lot of people, this is, a part of their job that they were just handed, like, oh yeah, you're going to do this. You're also going to do social media. Like,
of course, social media is going to be part of what I'm going to be doing. So I would be very interested in.
Yeah. It's just a good group of really, really good people that just want to learn and share. And then we're going to extend out to other things like working in Canva and using ChatGPT and really streamlining the whole process so people can do that quicker and really do what they're good at.
the goal for us is to increase self-sufficiency,
Right.
and not to market a product.
Right.
So the idea for us is to help others, and when they grow their own channels to the point where they're like, all right, now I need professional, content.
Yeah.
That's where we come into play. That's a long-term
Nice.
thing.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
I'm not looking at that on the short term and be like,
Right.
I got to get there kind of thing.
Right.
This is what can we give to others because of how well we've done as a company? What can we give to others to help them get to what we've seen happen with us?
Nice.
And that's the whole idea. And then of course, beyond that, we are also creating a product where people get to meet with Kristen for coaching on it.
Oh, nice.
On a one-on-one basis where she gets to go into whether people's businesses or they come to us or whatever, and buy a couple hours worth of consulting or whatever per month. And that allows Kristen to go into that organization and really handhold, for lack of a better term, or even buddy system, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the big barriers to social media is, a lot of people just kind of postpone and procrastinate it because they're like, oh, I know I have to get to that, but I got so many other things to do. And, it's true.
It's true.
It's true, right?
It's true.
There's validity to all of that.
Right.
The unfortunate part is the longer you procrastinate on doing the job, doing that task, the harder everything else is going to get.
Right.
Because I'm not saying that social media makes it easy, but it really greases the skids.
Right.
And so if you're,
that's the world we live in.
that is the world that we live in, right? And so if you have a page or a channel or a series of posts that people are interested in and are actively looking at, and you have content, going back a year, 2, 3, 4 years of reputation, right? That's that whole it's like a social litmus test. Like, how well is this business doing in communicating their message to their audience? Is their audience engaged with it?
Right.
Is it being shared? These are truly business building blocks that often get missed because social media is considered like an optional item. Right. And I think to some businesses, it truly is, right? There's certain businesses that exist that don't need it in order for them to thrive or survive. But I think when it comes to, especially a place like yours,
absolutely,
it truly is a must.
It is.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we can definitely help you in that category. Just, getting people talking, starting the conversations. Because I think for your business, that's where it's going to, the magic's going to happen.
Absolutely.
People start talking about it, keep coming back to your page. Like,
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome.
Sherri, thank you for
Thank you.
coming in.
This
Yeah.
was so fun.
This was a good time for sure.
Yeah, I'm
I know.
I'm
now I want to go play an escape room.
I do too, actually.
So no, we're gonna make it happen.
Yes.
We're gonna make it happen.
Good.
But thank you for
Good.
coming on in.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you at
Yes.
one of our social media meetups.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll send you all that.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And go back to Mike and
Yes,
let him
I
know
will.
how
I
things
will
went.
call him.
So it's been fun.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.